The next major source of stress in coral trout is the Dory tank itself. The research looked at characteristics of water quality and how these tanks could be improved to the benefit of the coral trout. There are two aspects to good water quality: dissolved oxygen level and ammonia level. Dissolved oxygen has to be maintained high and ammonia has to be kept low. These two things can be accomplished by a constant flow through of water. The shape of the tank plays an important part in water quality. One of the things that happens with square dory tanks is the occurrence of dead spots as the water flows through. This may hinder overall water quality. The dory tank bilge pump should be turned on before you start fishing and left on at all times when fish are in the tank. The research discovered that keeping the dory tank water exchange rates above 6 tank volumes an hour will achieve desired water quality levels. Ammonia will be kept down by flushing or removing pilchards and other waste out of the tank as often as possible. As well as good flow through, water quality can also be improved by additional aeration. Air stones like these are useful and can be purchased from any aquarium shop. It may also be possible to improve the water flow in your existing tank with some plumbing modifications. Another way to achieve good water quality is to design a tank specifically for this purpose. Most dory tanks have been designed to hold lots of dead fish, not for good water quality. Borrowing on ideas from aquaculture, the researchers have come up with some design requirements for dory tanks in order to improve the water quality. And the first of these is in the drain. This one's set up with a conical bottom which allows the waste to accumulate at a central point so it's easily flushed over the side. The second part that's really important is the water in it, which on this one comes in on an angle. So let's fill it up and give it a go. The water's maintained at a constant level by the use of the outflow pipe, which just simply runs over the side of the dory. And when you get an accumulation of crud in the bottom of the tank, it's a really easy job to clean it. All you have to do is crack the valve. Flushes out. Piece of cake. The narrow neck also reduces water movement or free surface effect caused by the rocking of the dory. The end result is lots of tiny waves across the top and little movement in the rest of the tank. Compare this with what happens in a square tank when the dory is rocking. Large waves are generated which move the trout around unnecessarily. As we can see, there are a number of advantages of this tank, which include no dead spots, no clogged outlets, no overflowing, no flow adjustments, constant water level and all waste easily removed. In summary, serious thought ought to be given to designing dory tanks for good water quality, and use of round tanks is one way to achieve this. Here are some scientific results from measuring water quality with currently used dory tanks in the fleet. For dissolved oxygen, we can see that the range observed in current dory tanks was quite variable, but always below desired levels. For ammonia levels, we see that the variation in dory tanks was very large and almost always above the recommended maximum level. What the researchers concluded is that there is certainly room for improvement in water quality of dory tanks. Another factor influencing water quality and hence stress is stocking density. Many fish in a confined space will quickly degrade water by lowering oxygen and increasing ammonia levels. Researchers measured stress in coral trout from stocking densities ranging from 10 fish per 200 litres to 30 fish per 200 litres. They found that when stocked at 30 fish there was significant stress response, but not at lower densities. So they recommend a maximum stocking density of 20 fish per 200 litres in dory tanks. This means if you're catching a few, offload them more often. There are a couple of preventative measures we can take to help deal with stress. The first of these is a low salinity wash. Marine parasites and disease organisms are killed by fresh water, so washing the fish in low salinity water helps prevent disease. Placing the fish in clean 1/3 seawater and 2/3 fresh water for 15 to 20 minutes does not stress coral trout. This should be done on the vessel as soon as possible after capture. One of the unsolved issues identified by the research team was that of feeding on the main vessel. Some operators fed their captive trout while others starved them. The research has shown that fish fed cope better with stress. Stress in fed coral trout was about half that of those which were starved. Therefore, to keep trout healthy and unstressed, they should be fed while they're in the main tank. One issue raised by industry was that at certain times of the year, for example spawning, trout seemed likely to be stressed out. In order to test this idea, researchers examined the blood of coral trout for an 18-month period to December 1999. And what they found confirmed the suspicions of industry, namely that stress was highest in trout caught in October, both in 1998 and in 99. So you need to be extra careful around this time of the year when handling them.
Well, we've just about come to the end of the story now, and hopefully you and your fish are pretty relaxed. But before we go, let's just have a bit of a recap.
Handle fish gently. Deflate the swim bladder. Use a dehooker. Release caught trout in a full tank of water. Keep dissolved oxygen high. Water flow greater than 6 tank exchanges per hour. Stocking density 20 fish per 200 litre or less. And additional aeration. Keep ammonia low, it's toxic to fish. Keep it low with high water flow, flush wastes regularly, keep stocking densities low, use Dory Tanks designed for better water quality. Use a low salinity wash, feed the trout while in the main tank, and be extra careful during the season of stress around October. Remember, the prime objective at all times is to keep fish alive and in top condition. This can be accomplished with care, patience, and the best possible water quality. Operating under these conditions will improve the financial value of the catch and provide a more humane way of treating coral trout.
Well, the proof of the pudding's in the eating. Let's see if our Doryman Tony has learned anything today. Well done. My stress levels are definitely way down. Time for a beer before we head off home, and when we get there, I'm hoping Tony will have a big enough paycheck to buy me lunch. Cheers.
How about this one, Brett? I kept it especially for you.
Here's lunch. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On behalf of Trev, Tony and myself, we'd like to wish you happy fishing. And remember, the secret to best live fish is care, patience and good water quality. And I will have a cup of tea.